Welcome, folks, to the commodities review. Um, so, not financial advice, just speculative analysis here. Dubious speculation, as we like to call it. Let's look at Dixie and see what Dixie is doing. Um, so, Dixie is not finished this move to the upside. This move is going to continue going up. Um, barest minimum would be comes all the way here. So he's going to continue grinding up. This pullback was normal after having such a big move last month. It's only natural that you take some off before you continue the journey. Similar to how this place happened as well. You take some off before you go. This one as well, you take some off before. So, excuse me. It's not surprising to me that we've got a good pullback. If you bring it to the weekly chart, again, very similar story. A good pullback. Now we are resting on the 50 and the 21 and the 9. Um, uh, let's go to 4 hours to see. So on 4 hours, you've got some divergences here. You've got early warnings here. Um, and I think this is a good divergence. So I think this probably the fall is going to start reversing itself back to the other side. So next week, I would expect that the Dixie starts climbing its way back up again, as opposed to continue to tank. Will be what we see. We've got an early warning sign here as well. We've got D3, we've got D1 and D2. This looks good to me on a 4-hour intermediate chart, and the daily is going to start turning, and this would give like a double divergence here. You're going to get some kind of double divergence between this and this. So that looks good to me. So I'd expect this to continue its journey next week to the upside. Now let's look at gold and see what gold is doing. Start on the monthly chart. Uh, so this big selling candle, always expected that you would take some back. It's not just going to go down, especially when it's going weak as well. So I think we can still creep up. Um, but let's look at the weekly close. So weekly close was good. But I'm not seeing institutional participation here. Although we can still wake up to somewhere here, somewhere around here, 4988 is possible, or we can take a bit more liquidity to the upside to somewhere here. It's possible as well. So you got to be prepared for that. Um, let's go for 4 hours and see what the 4 hours is telling us, whether that is likely to happen. 4 hours is giving it away. Um, you already have a divergence between this peak here and this peak here. There is a divergence between these two. And if you look at, you know, we've got a sink to the downside as well. So most likely we might not get that move to the upside. Let's go to daily. Yeah, the daily we had a top and tail there. Tried to go, couldn't, and tried to go, couldn't. So I think the most probable outcome would be that it continues his journey to the downside. Um, I still would give a small probability of it coming to somewhere here, 4.9. So let's 4.9 before it's possible. So you just got to be prepared for it. So that's gold. Let's move on to silver. Silver is also on the monthly chart. Let's look at a high time frame. Um, Similar story really. Um, you've got your early warning sign already here, but this big selling volume, you have to take some of it back. So, I'm not surprised that it's stalling here. If you bring it to say a daily chart, have a look at the daily chart. Um, we do have two green candles, but no real participation really from institutions yet. So, um, yeah, I won't be surprised if we touch here, 79 or to 80. And then come back to the downside. If we go to 4 hours and see what we can see from there, what have we got here? So there's a divergence between here between this point and that point. Okay, this is actually higher. This is higher. So there isn't a divergence on RSI. We can look at it on a MACD and see what our MACD is telling us on silver. Yeah, MACD is not good. Fast MACD is already crossed to the downside. Slow is about to join it. Um, so this one looks interesting. So we've got a still got a red, and then the 4 hour chart. Yeah, I mean, it can give a wick to this point here. Like I said, 80 is possible before you get the downside. So just be prepared for it. I think there is obviously look at the peak here of MACD, look at the peak here, smaller peak. So there's a divergence already in play on the MACD. So I think chances are very high this thing will collapse to the downside. But I won't be surprised to see 80 before that happens. So that's what we see on silver. Let's look at copper. Yeah, copper is in a breakout uh, on the daily chart. This is strong as well here as well. Uh, we've got two good candles here. I think next week potentially you'll go up slightly higher first. Copper will go up slightly higher next week before higher than at the very least the close, which is 5.8, 5.824. So we'll go slightly higher and possible either we go slightly higher, collapse, or higher, then collapse. That'll be what I would say on this chart. Because yeah, after having such a strong selling candle, normally you take some back and we're taking some back. So we can come and take all the way back here, even to somewhere there, 5.9 before. Um, the only way this candle is ignored is if this goes all the way at the end of the month and closes above it. Then we say this candle is ignored. So until then, it's still a bearish chart for me. And we have a pink candle that needs to be exceeded to the downside. This one as well. So let's move on to the next one, and that's palladium. Palladium is also they're all kind of very similar, all the metals really. Very similar story. This is going to come back down, but it can go all the way up to 1784 first before. So just prepare yourself. But I think palladium will go very high after this pullback. I think you can get pullback of it coming to somewhere here to like 1, 2,002, and then it will go very high. It will go very high after that. So this is just a pullback for further move to the upside. Let's look at platinum. Platinum is also very similar. I see a very similar story on platinum as well, where you're going to get a pullback that comes all the way maybe back to this point here to here around 1300, between here, which is 1200 and 1300, and then it's going to go boom and go higher again. So these two look very good. Let's look at oil. Uh, Now, oil, I don't really have a lot of good news on oil. Oil is going to go up very high. Um, this taking some back here is normal. And I think it's okay. And this whole month, it's possible that we could come all the way down to this point here, $82 before. But I expect oil to go higher into the 145s to 150 before we get a proper move or collapse to the downside. So that's what we see on oil. Unfortunately, there will be more pain on oil in terms of an upside move rather than a collapse to the downside. And I think those are the only real coins we are interested in. But let's just look at Google and see what was happening on Google. Um, so Google, unfortunately, this doesn't look good, and I'll explain. So we had a green, which is good. I'd expect this to go slightly higher. So we can shoot all the way up to 340, or even go slightly higher. And then that will be a big collapse all the way down back to the 200. So this move here is a liquidity sweep move. We're taking liquidity off all this point here. So it's a liquidity move on Google, and after that you're gonna get a big fall. I think for me, 211 is the minimum I'd expect Google to get to 211 after this liquidity sweep. So that's Google. And then let's look at the Nasdaq briefly, see what the Nasdaq. Again, this is also another one from the Nasdaq. It's a liquidity sweep. It's going to sweep all the liquidity here before. So you tend to see us going higher, or actually we might even put in a higher high, a new all-time high, and then you're going to get a big collapse to the downside. Um, that's what I see based on where we are at the moment. Um, this will go into a new all-time high. It's very, very likely, or somewhere there, at the very least, to somewhere here. We'll go higher than this candle here next week. We're going to go higher than this candle. And I think after that, we're going to collapse. Let me put it onto 4 hours and see something. Okay. So we have a P3, which is interesting. So P3, you're going to go higher first, liquidity sweep first, and then collapse back, at least back down to here, to this point here. So uh, maybe we won't get that extra boost to any all-time high, as I can see on the higher time frame. Um, but if the month of April closes green like this, then chances are you'll do a new all-time high because there's a candle here that hasn't been exceeded, 26,288, 26,246. So we need to exceed this candle, and this might be it. This might be the move that comes up, exceed this whole point here, creates a new all-time high into next month, and then you get your big collapse to the downside. So that's what I see at the moment because my peaks haven't finished. We've just got a move here and a move here. So you know, there's a much bigger move, liquidity move to the upside here that can happen, depending on how the month closes. And the weekly, when you looked at the week, is still looking good in terms of climbing up. Take more liquidity first before you come down. Let's see what the SPX is also doing. The XPX, similar story on the XPX. It's also taking liquidity. It's a lot of liquidity from all these selling here that we need to grab. So, and I'm sure quite a lot of people would have seen this candle and thinking, oh, we're going to go down all the way down here straight away. And there you go. Boom, back to the other side fast before. So they will sweep the liquidity and then you can get your move down afterwards. This place will be resistance somewhere around 6950 will be resistance. So you can poke into it and then collapse. There is another interest candle here that I want to check and see 6985. Yeah, so it's already done its job. They swept the liquidity already. So looks good. This one too looks good for next week for a bit of grind to the upside. And I'll leave it there and we'll catch up next week. Ta-ta.